The sky above Mars was dark, not because of night but because of years of dust and silence. Once this red planet had been a busy place. Colonies thrived, ships flew in and out, and Earth's people spread across the solar system. But now, all of that was gone. The cities were ruins, the spaceports were empty. The only sounds came from the wind blowing over broken metal and dust. Earth was silent. The stars did not shine as brightly for humanity anymore. It had been 15 years since the Varelian Concord, the powerful alien group that ruled many parts of the galaxy, had attacked. They had called humans dangerous, wild, and unstable. They wanted to stop humans before they could cause trouble. The attack was fast and deadly. It wiped out most of the population on Earth and its colonies. Huge cities were bombed from orbit. Millions died in the first wave. Survivors went underground or fled to space. The galaxy believed humans were extinct. But some humans had not given. Up deep in the shadow of a broken moon, once part of Mars's system, a small group of humans prepared quietly. They called themselves the Phoenix Cell. Like the mythical bird, they believed they would rise again from the ashes. Captain Mara Elric was their leader. She was tough and smart, with sharp eyes that had seen many battles. Her voice carried the strength of hope and the weight of loss. Mara looked around the dim room of their hidden base. Screens showed maps of stars and enemy positions. Around her, young men and women prepared weapons and studied plans. Every one of them knew the risk. If the Varelians found them, they would be destroyed. For years, the Phoenix Cell had trained in secret. They had taken old Earth technology and combined it with alien parts scavenged from wrecked ships. They built fighters, weapons, and communication devices that could hide from enemy sensors. Their goal was clear: to survive, to fight back, and to remind the galaxy that humanity still lived. One evening, a young technician named Jax ran into the room, holding a small data cube. "Captain, you need to see this," he said, breathless. Mara took the cube and plugged it into the main console. The screen lit up with a recorded message. It was from a Varelian diplomat who had been captured weeks before. The alien spoke, quietly, with a strange sadness. "They thought humanity was finished," the diplomat said. "But they made a mistake. We tried to erase your kind, but you still fight." Mara's heart beat faster as the diplomat continued. "The conquered plans to do the same to others. Your extinction was just a test. The galaxy will be next." The room fell silent. Mara knew this meant more than just survival. It meant a new war was coming, not only for humans but for many others who lived under the Concord's rule. "We can't wait any longer," Mara said. "It's time to make them remember who we are." Outside, the stars watched quietly as the Phoenix Cell prepared for their first move in years. The Varelians believed they had won. They thought Earth's people were gone forever. But Mara and her team were about to show the galaxy that humans were not easy to erase. The next day, the cell's pilots climbed into their sleek fighters. Mara stood last on the launch platform, watching the red dust swirl in the thin Martian air. She thought about Earth, her home, her lost world. She remembered the stories of her grandfather who had fought in the old wars and told her that humans had something no one else did: heart. "Remember this," she said quietly to her team. "They tried to erase us, but now we call the shots." With that, the fighters blasted off into space, disappearing into the black. The target was a remote relay station in the Tarsus expanse. It was a small outpost that helped the Varelians control their fleet movements. Destroying it would cause confusion and delay enemy plans. It was a small step, but an important one. As Mara's team approached the station, sensors picked up a patrol squadron. The fighters stayed low, using the dark shadow of an asteroid to hide. Jax, the young technician, guided the squadron through the narrow paths between rocks. "Hold steady," Mara whispered over the comms. "We need to get close." With precise timing, the fighters swooped down. Explosions lit up the station as missiles found their targets. The relay was damaged, and the enemy ships scrambled to respond. The Phoenix Cell pulled back quickly, leaving behind a message broadcast on pirate channels across the galaxy. "Humanity lives. We remember. We strike back. Back at their base, cheers broke out. For the first time in years, hope burned bright. Mara knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was watching. Some would join the fight, others would try to stop them. But humanity had something powerful, something no alien weapon could destroy: the will to survive and fight for freedom. Later, Mara met with the leaders of another group, a cybernetic race called the Ikari. Once enslaved by the conquered, the Ikari had a deep hatred for their oppressors. They brought Mara an ancient weapon design, a sunlance said to be capable of destroying even the largest ships with a single blast. Mara held the plans in her hands, feeling the weight of history and future battles. "We will need every advantage," she said. "If we want to survive, we need to be stronger, faster, smarter." The Ikari leader nodded. "You have our support. Together we can make the Concord remember the meaning of fear." That night, as Mara looked out at the stars, she thought of Earth's past and the battles to come. The Varelians had tried to erase humanity from history, but humans had risen from the ashes. They were no longer victims. They were hunters. They were leaders. And the galaxy would hear their voice again. The stars were cold and quiet as the Phoenix Cell made their way deeper into the Tarsus expanse. Their stolen data showed the Conquered's supply routes, weapon factories, and patrol schedules. It was the most valuable information they had collected in years. Mara knew they had to use it wisely. "Keep sharp," Mara told her pilots through the comms. "The Concord will be watching for any sign of us." The small fleet moved like shadows among the stars, their fighters sleek and fast. They were not just humans anymore. They were hunters, masters of space and war. The Varelians believed the humans were gone, but they were wrong. Jack sat in the command ship, fingers flying over controls. His eyes reflected the blinking lights of the console. "Captain, I'm picking up unusual signals ahead," he said. "It looks like a Varelian patrol group." Mara nodded. "Can we avoid them?" "Maybe, but it will slow us down." "We don't have time," Mara said. "Prepare for combat." The fighters adjusted their course. The patrol group was large, with ships twice the size of theirs. The Varelians were well armed and confident, but they had one weakness. They did not expect a fight from humans. "Remember," Mara said to her pilots, "we're here to send a message. Hit hard, then get out." The battle was sudden and fierce. The Phoenix Cell's ships darted between asteroids and debris, using every trick Mara had taught them. Missiles exploded in the cold dark, lighting up the blackness. Varelian ships fired back, but they were slow to react. Jax targeted the enemies. Communication relay. If the patrol lost contact with their fleet, chaos would follow. "Missile away," he said, and the missile streaked toward the relay. It exploded in a flash of fire and metal. The patrol's formation broke apart as the ships scrambled to regroup. "Fall back," Mara ordered. "Now!" The Phoenix fighters pulled away, faster and smaller than the clumsy Varelian ships. As they escaped, Mara sent out a broadcast on hidden pirate channels across the galaxy. Her voice was calm, but filled with strength. "Humans are alive. We remember our past. We will fight for our future. To the Varelian Concord and all who think they can control us, this is only the beginning." The message spread quickly through secret networks. Across mining colonies and slave worlds, whispers began. The legend of the Earth survivors grew. After the battle, the Phoenix Cell returned to their base on the broken moon. Mara met with the Ikari leaders who had offered their help. They were unlike humans in many ways, part machine, part flesh, but their hatred for the Concord was just as strong. One Ikari commander, named Kira, handed Mara a small metal box. "This is a Sunlance prototype," she explained. "It can cut through the strongest armor with one shot, but it needs power we don't have." Mara studied the box. "If we can build this weapon, we can change the war." Kira nodded. "We will share our technology. But we must act fast. The Conquered will hunt us." Mara smiled, a rare moment of hope in her tired eyes. "Then we will give them a reason to fear us." The news of the Phoenix Cell's attack reached other oppressed groups in the galaxy. Many had suffered under the Conquered's rule for centuries. Some were slaves, others refugees hiding in shadows. Now they saw a chance. Messages came in from distant systems, offers of help, stories of resistance, requests for leadership. Mara listened carefully. "We cannot fight alone," she said. "We must unite with those who want freedom." Her commanders agreed. A new plan formed, one that was bigger than just humans. Meanwhile, the Varelian Concord scrambled to respond. Their leaders were angry and confused. How could a group thought extinct dare attack their fleet? In a dark room filled with glowing screens, a Varelian general named Threx paced angrily. "Find these humans, destroy their base, leave no survivors." His officers bowed, but doubt lingered. The humans were cunning. They used technology stolen from the Conquered itself. One officer spoke quietly. "General, what if they are not just survivors? What if they are something more?" Threx stared coldly. "Then we will crush them harder." Back in the Phoenix Cell base, Mara called a meeting. "We have the chance to strike again. But this time, we need more than speed and surprise. We need allies." She looked around the room. "We will reach out to the Ikari, the mining colonies, and anyone willing to stand with us. Together we will build a new fleet, a new hope." The room filled with determined faces. Jack smiled. "Let's make history." Days later, a small delegation from the Ikari arrived. They brought engineers, scientists, and warriors ready to fight. Mara watched as humans and Ikari worked side by side, sharing ideas and skills. The Sun Lance weapon began to take shape, a symbol of hope and strength. One evening, Mara stood on a platform outside the base looking at the stars. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Sparks of rebellion had begun to burn. "We will show them," she said softly. "We are not a forgotten race. We are the future." The jungle moon of Kalis 9 was a wild place. Thick green trees stretched high into the sky, and strange creatures called from the shadows. It was a perfect place to hide secrets. Captain Mara Elric and a small team of the Phoenix Cell moved carefully through the dense undergrowth. Their mission was dangerous but important. The Varelian Concord had a secret archive hidden somewhere on this moon, an old data center filled with information about their darkest plans. Mara's heart pounded as they approached a large metal building, half covered by vines and dirt. "This is it," she whispered. Inside, the air was cool and still. The team split up, searching through dusty terminals and locked data vaults. Mara's fingers flew over the controls until a hidden door slid open, revealing a chamber filled with glowing consoles. Jax, the young technician, found the main database. "Captain, this is bigger than we thought," he said. "The Conquered didn't just want to erase humanity. They tried to rewrite us." Mara frowned. "Rewrite us? What do you mean?" Jax tapped the screen. Data files showed experiments where human DNA was combined with alien genes. The Conquered created hybrid soldiers called peacekeepers, warriors, built for obedience and strength. Some looked human, but their minds were controlled. Mara felt a cold anger rise inside her. They turned our people into weapons. Before they could explore more, alarms sounded. The Concord had detected the intrusion. "Time to move," Mara said, her voice steady. They gathered the most important files and ran back outside. Back at their base, Mara studied the stolen data. Among the files was a video. It showed a peacekeeper soldier in battle, but something was different. The soldier hesitated before attacking. His eyes flickered with memories, not just commands. "Who is he?" Mara asked. Jax played the recording again. The peacekeeper whispered a name. "James." Mara's mind raced. Could some of these hybrid soldiers still be human inside? Determined to find out, Mara organized a secret mission to capture one of the peacekeepers alive. It was risky, but if they could reach him, they might gain a powerful ally. The opportunity came sooner than expected. One day, during a supply raid, the Phoenix Cell encountered a group of peacekeepers guarding a convoy. The battle was fierce. Mara's fighters overwhelmed the enemy, but one peacekeeper stayed behind, protecting wounded comrades. Mara saw him clearly, tall, strong, but with eyes that seemed tired and confused. "Hold your fire," Mara ordered. Her team hesitated but obeyed. She approached the soldier slowly. "Who are you?" she asked. The peacekeeper looked at her, then down at his hands. I don't know." Mara offered her hand. "I'm Mara. You're safe here." In the days that followed, the peacekeeper, now called James, learned to speak more. He remembered fragments of a life before the conquered took him, a family, a home on Earth, friends lost in war. Mara felt a hope she hadn't felt in years. If James and others like him could be freed, the Phoenix Cell could gain more than weapons. They could gain hearts. But not everyone was ready to trust James. Some members of the cell feared he was still loyal to the conquered. Others worried he might be a spy. Mara stood firm. "He is one of us. He remembers what it means to be human." James trained with the Phoenix Cell. His skills were incredible, his strength unmatched. But more than that, he taught them about the Concord's methods, their weaknesses and secrets. One evening, as Mara and James studied star maps, he told her a story. "The Concord did not just want soldiers," he said quietly. "They wanted control over everything. Minds, bodies, even memories. They wanted to erase who we were and make us their tools." Mara nodded. "That will never happen. Not while we live." James looked out the window at the stars. "Maybe there is hope after all." The stolen data also revealed something else. The Concord was planning to create more peacekeepers, but the process was slow and difficult. They needed more human DNA samples and special technology. Mara knew this was an opportunity. "If we can stop their supplies and destroy their labs, we can stop the creation of new soldiers," she said. The Phoenix Cell began to plan strikes on secret Concord labs in the outer systems. Each victory would weaken the enemy and free more captives. As news of James spread, more hybrid soldiers began to question their orders. Some escaped, some sought refuge with the Phoenix Cell. The legend of the awakened grew. The galaxy began to hear whispers of hope. Humanity was no longer broken. They were fighting back and winning. One night, Mara stood alone on the base platform. The sky was filled with stars, bright and clear. She thought of Earth, lost but not forgotten. "They tried to erase us," she said softly. "But they forgot one thing. The human spirit cannot be erased." The wind carried her words into the night. The fight was far from over, but the first sparks of freedom were burning strong. The news of the Phoenix Cell's victories spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Hidden worlds, once silent under the rule of the Varelian Concord, began to whisper of rebellion. Humans were no longer just survivors. They had become a symbol of hope and strength. On a small mining colony in the outer reaches, workers gathered in secret. They listened to a broadcast from the Phoenix Cell, Mara's voice speaking through cracked radios and hidden speakers. "We remember our past," she said. "We will fight for our future. Together, we are stronger than any empire." Among the crowd, a young miner named Lyra clenched her fists. She had lived under the Concord's harsh rule her whole life. Now, for the first time, she dared to dream of freedom. Back at the Phoenix Cell's base, Mara and her commanders prepared for a new phase. Their goal was not just to survive, but to unite all those who wanted to be free. "We can no longer fight alone," Mara said during a strategy meeting. "The Varelians control too much. We need allies, other races, other rebels. We must build a fleet and a force that can challenge them openly." Jax nodded. "The Akari are ready. They've sent engineers and warriors." Another officer, Sarah, spoke up. "The mining colonies and slave worlds will join if they see we can win." Mara looked around the room. "Then let's give them a reason to join." The first step was to reach out. Using secure channels, the Phoenix Cell sent messages to scattered rebel groups, to oppressed races, and to anyone willing to fight. Messages of hope and strength traveled faster than any warship. Ships from distant systems began to move toward them, the broken moon base. Some came quietly in the night. Others boldly announced their arrival. Mara welcomed each group personally, shaking hands with warriors of many forms, humans, Ikari, and others she had never seen before. They spoke different languages, had different customs, but they all shared one thing: a burning desire for freedom. One evening, Mara stood with Kira, the Ikari commander, watching ships land in the clearing outside the base. "These people have suffered too long," Mara said softly. Kira's metal arm shimmered in the fading light. "Now they have a choice: fight or continue to live in fear." Mara nodded. "We will fight." The new alliance was not easy. Different groups had different ways, different goals. Some wanted revenge, others wanted peace. But Mara was a leader who believed in unity. "We are not just fighting to win," she told them. "We are fighting to build a future, one where no one is erased, no one is forgotten." Slowly, the alliance began to form rules and plans. Training camps were set up. Fleets were built. Supplies were shared. The Concord was watching. They sent spies and scouts trying to break the growing unity. Some small attacks happened, but the alliance was ready. During one surprise raid, the alliance's defenses held strong. The attackers were driven back, and the Phoenix Cell captured valuable Concord weapons. Jack smiled as he examined the new tech. "Every battle makes us stronger." One of the most important moments came when the peacekeepers who had escaped the Concord joined the alliance. Led by James, Mara's peacekeeper friend, they told stories of captivity and hope. "They tried to make us soldiers without souls," James said in a speech. "But our hearts remember who we are. We fight not just for ourselves, but for all who dream of freedom." His words inspired many. Old fears began to fade. The alliance grew closer. As the months passed, the alliance struck harder. Coordinated attacks crippled Concord supply lines and freed many prisoners. The galaxy's oppressed began to rise. Mara's hope grew with each victory, but she also knew the war was far from over. "We must be ready for what comes next," she told her commanders. "The Concord will not give up easily." In a quiet moment, Mara stood alone on the platform overlooking the base. The stars shone bright, filled with promise. She whispered to the night, "From the ashes we rise. Together, we are the spark that will light the galaxy." The Hollow Crown was the heart of the Varelian Concord, a massive artificial moon where the alien rulers controlled entire sectors of the galaxy. It was a fortress in space, surrounded by thick shields, powerful fleets, and deadly weapons. To win the war, the Phoenix Cell and their new allies had to take it. Captain Mara Elric stood on the bridge of the flagship Phoenix Rising. Around her, commanders gave final reports as the fleet prepared for the attack. Ships from many worlds were gathered here. Humans, Ikari, and others united for the first time in history. "This is our moment," Mara said quietly. "If we can break the crown, we break the Concord." The fleet moved through space like a great wave. Ahead, the Hollow Crown hung dark and silent, its shields glowing faintly against the black stars. The first phase of the battle was fierce. The Concord's fleet poured out to meet the attackers. Huge warships fired beams and missiles. The Alliance's fighters darted between blasts, striking at weak points. Mara commanded from the bridge, giving orders and watching every move. The Sun Lances, the powerful weapons built with Ikari help, were ready to fire, but they needed to get close. Jax, piloting a fighter, called in, "Captain, the outer defenses are heavy, but we found a gap near the south shield." "Good," Mara replied. "Prepare the Sunlance strike team." With the gap discovered, the Alliance sent a small squad of ships carrying the Sunlances. They flew fast and low, dodging enemy fire as the big weapons charged. A deep hum filled the Phoenix Rising as the Sunlance powered up. Mara watched the glowing energy grow, knowing that one shot could change everything. Fire when ready, she said. A beam of pure light shot from the ship, cutting through the shield like a knife. The defense grid shattered in an instant. Breach confirmed, Jax reported. We're going in. The fleet surged through the opening. Fighting moved inside the hollow moon itself, in tunnels, docking bays, and command centers. Mara led a team through the corridors, facing conquered soldiers and machines. The battle was brutal but focused. Every step brought them closer to the control core. In the control room, Mara found rows of glowing consoles and screens. She accessed the main terminal and sent a powerful broadcast to every ship and station under Concord control. Her voice rang out clearly. The Concord's rule ends now. You have seen what we can do. Join us, or fall. The message caused chaos among the conquered forces. Some ships stopped fighting and surrendered. Others turned on their leaders. But the Concord was not defeated yet. General Threx, the Varelian commander, gathered his loyal forces for a final stand. Mara faced him in the central chamber. The two stared at each other, enemies but also symbols of their peoples. You think you can break us? Threx hissed. We already have, Mara said. Your empire was built on fear. Now it will be built on freedom. The final battle was fierce. Mara and Threx fought with skill and determination. In the end, Mara's strength and hope won. With the Hollow Crown under Alliance control, the war changed forever. The Concord's power broke and rebellion spread quickly. Mara and her allies began the difficult task of rebuilding. They formed new governments based on respect and cooperation. The galaxy's oppressed were free at last. One quiet evening, Mara stood on the surface of the Hollow Crown looking at the stars. We have won a great battle, she said. But this is just the beginning. She knew that peace would take hard work and patience. But for now, humanity and their allies had shown the galaxy that no one could erase them, not ever again. The Hollow Crown, once the symbol of the Varelian Concord's power, now stood as a beacon of hope. The stars around it shone brighter, reflecting the new light of freedom. Captain Mara Elric walked through the corridors of the great station, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. The war was over, but the work was just beginning. In the days after the Concord's fall, leaders from many worlds gathered in the Hollow Crown's Great Hall. Humans, Ikari, and representatives from countless other races sat together. They spoke not as enemies, but as partners building a new future. Mara stood among them, listening to the talks. There was hope and fear in the room, hope for peace, and fear that old grudges might return. A young diplomat from a small mining world spoke first. We must build trust, she said. Our strength is in unity. Mara nodded. We have to. One of the most difficult tasks was helping the peacekeepers, those hybrid soldiers created by the Concord. Many had suffered, trapped, between who they were and what they were made to be. James, the peacekeeper who had joined the Phoenix Cell, now stood as a leader for his people. He worked with healers and scientists to help others like him find freedom and identity. We are more than machines, James told a gathering. We are living proof that hope cannot be erased. The new alliance formed the Orion Accord, a coalition dedicated to protecting freedom and peace across the galaxy. It was a promise that no one race would rule over another, and that every voice mattered. Mara was offered leadership of the Accord, but she declined. I fought to free people, she said. Now, I will help build a future where leaders come from many places. We all must share the burden. Instead, she chose to be a guardian, ready to defend but always listening. Earth remained a memory and a symbol. Its ruins were preserved as a sanctuary, a place to remind the galaxy of what had been lost and what could be saved. Mara often visited the quiet landscapes, walking among the tall grasses and broken cities. She thought of those who had fallen, and those who had survived. We were erased once, she whispered, but never again. Far from the ruins, new colonies began to grow. Humans and their allies worked together, building homes and schools, farms and factories. The spirit of cooperation spread like wildfire. Children born after the war learned stories of the Phoenix Cell and the brave fighters who refused to give up. One evening, Mara sat with James on a hill overlooking a small settlement. The stars twinkled above them like old friends. James smiled. "We changed the galaxy," Mara nodded. "Yes, but the real change is in us. All of us." She looked at the sky full of possibility. "From now on, we call the shots." The story of humanity's return was no longer a tale of destruction, but one of courage, unity, and hope. The galaxy had tried to erase them, but the humans had risen stronger than ever, and this was only the beginning.